Welcome back to QuickBooks Desktop 2022. This is Cindy, and we are working through Module 4, where we're going through and talking about setting up customers and jobs. We're going to start talking a little bit about estimating jobs in the next couple of videos. If you do not create estimates as part of your business, then skip on down to video number 9 and go ahead and look through invoicing customers for products and services. We're going to go ahead now, though, and start talking a little bit about creating estimates. This is part 1. Make sure you watch both parts so that you get a full understanding of how estimates work. Let's flip over to QuickBooks and we'll start talking about estimating jobs. QuickBooks offers the ability to create estimates or quotes so that you can turn those quotes into invoices to get paid from your customer. You can actually do what they call progress invoicing, meaning that you invoice your customer for certain items that are on that estimate until everything is pulled over. On your home screen, you're going to see the estimate icon right here. If by chance you don't see it, it's probably because you told it when you set up the company file that you do not create estimates. Let me refresh your memory on how to turn that back on. If you go up to Edit on the menu, come down to Preferences, make sure on their left you're clicked on Jobs and Estimates, and then the Company Preferences tab. Here's where you turn on the option to create estimates. Remember, if you're creating estimates, you probably do want progress invoicing as well. Make sure this one says yes, and then go ahead and click OK. Now you should see your estimate icon appear. If you do not use estimates and you want to leave this icon here, it doesn't hurt a thing. You would just start with the Create Invoices if you invoice in your business. Something else just to know is estimates and purchase orders are on the same line here, and that's because they're both considered non-posting. If you create estimates for a potential customer and you never hear back from them, it doesn't really affect your books. You'd have to actually run special estimate reports to even see that estimate. Let's go ahead and start the process. I'll show you how this works. Let's go ahead and click on Estimates. The first thing you want to do is choose your customer and your job. If you're working with the job feature, always click the job underneath your customer that you're wanting to work with. If you just choose the customer name, you're going to run reports and see other, and you won't know which job those transactions go to. Make sure you click on the customer and the job. The next thing you'll want to do is choose the class if you're using the class feature. If you're going to use the class feature, use it consistently, because it doesn't do you any good to use it sometimes and not others. Reports won't be accurate. I'm going to choose Remodel in this case. There are also different templates you could use when it comes to estimates, invoices, any of your forms. If you look over in Module 10, that's where you're going to see how to actually customize these different templates. We'll just use the one that it pulls up automatically in this case. The next thing you want to look at is the date. It's going to pull in the current date, but you can change that date if you need to. And also notice the estimate number. Any transaction that's numbered in QuickBooks, whether it's a check or an invoice or an estimate, it's going to start with number 1. You probably want to start off by changing that number, and then it will number sequentially after that for you unless you change it again. You'll see here it pulled in the name and address of your customer. And if you happen to be shipping items somewhere, then you'll want to choose a ship to address over here. If you don't have one, you can add it. If you don't need this field at all, just leave that blank. Let's go look down in the body of the estimate. If you notice, there's a column that says Item, and if you click right underneath it, a down arrow appears. This will give you a list of all the different items you have set up in QuickBooks. Items are things that you sell to your customers. Sometimes you purchase items as well. Items are set up by different types. You'll see that some of these items are services you provide. You'll see some of these are actual parts, physical parts. There's inventory and there's non-inventory. You're going to have different categories that items can fall into. We're going to be looking at these in a later module, but for now, we're just going to use a couple that are on the list to show you how this works. I want to start with framing. You'll notice once I click framing, it pulls in a description, and you can type over that. You can add to this. This will word wrap, so you've got plenty of space to type in that description if you need a lengthy one. I'm going to go over to the quantity field, and I'm going to put in 10. And you'll notice that it calculated my 10 times the cost of 55. This 55 was set up when the item was set up. You can type over that if you want to change it this one time only. You'll notice that it calculated the quantity times the cost to give me an amount in this column. Now we skipped over the unit of measurement. You'll see it's grayed out right here. If you have something you sell by the foot, the yard, by the case possibly, you could set that up as a unit of measurement and choose 1 case, 1 yard. We don't have that set up in this example. That's why it's grayed out. Let's take a minute and talk about the markup column. You have the ability to mark up an item a dollar amount or a percentage. I'm going to say 30% in this case. You have to put the percent sign or it won't do the percentages. Then if you tab through it, you'll notice that it calculated that for you to give you a total. The last column says tax. That means that for sales tax purposes, framing is a labor and this is a non-taxable item. Let's go put in one more. We'll do a physical part this time. Let me scroll down and find some wood doors. We're going to choose exterior wood door, and I want to add 2 of these. We'll just use the cost that it brings in. I wanted to point out the markup in this case. The reason that this markup pulled in automatically and it's a negative number is because when you're setting up an item, you can tell QuickBooks on average how much you pay for it and on average how much you sell it for. If those 2 are set up, it will pull in a markup for you. We obviously don't want that one. We'll just delete it and we'll put in a dollar amount. In this case, I'll just say $1,000. And notice it did the calculation for me. This is a taxable item because it's a physical product that we're selling our customer. Now you could keep going down the list and add as many items as you want. This line here is not the very bottom. It will keep going as long as you keep adding items. Let's take a look at a few things at the bottom of the screen. On the left side, you'll see there's an area for customer message. There are some that are pre-set up, but if you want to add your own, you would click Add New and add one. Right below that is a field for a memo, just something quick you might want to say that the customer won't see. And this also tells me the customer is taxable as far as sales tax is concerned. On the right-hand side, you can see it gives me the subtotal, the total of the markup. If there was sales tax, it has the sales tax rate pulled in and you see that amount, and then there's a total at the very bottom. That gives you a general idea of how to set up the body of the estimate. What I want to do now is head on over to part 2, and we're going to go up and look at some of these options that you see on your icon bars up here and a few of these different tabs. We'll be looking through some of the reports and things like that. So let's head over to part 2, and I'll see you shortly.